Hello and welcome back to the College Park Sourdough Company. This is Kat Kelly here to put together a double loaf. I use all my starter up Bernadette. She's looking very active. Look at all that hair. Hopefully I'll have enough for two loaves. I'll need 200 grams. So let's see. I'm gonna put the little left in here so I can clean up her jar. We're on kilograms and it's zeroed out. Let's see if we have 200. This is active starter. I actually fed her yesterday morning, but then I re-stirred her last night and she went right back up. And that does happen if you re-stir. We're almost there. 191. It's gonna be 2 loaves. My recipe for a loaf is 100 grams of starter, 350 grams of warm tap water, and 500 grams of bread flour, 10 grams of salt. So we'll be doing double that. First, I'm going to go ahead and feed Bernadette for the next 24 hours. I'm just going to put a bit in there. You don't need a lot. I'm going to then go through and clean up this jar as much as I can with paper towels and wipes so that none of it goes into the sink. So we've got 17 grams. Well, actually I didn't zero out, so I don't know how many grams it is, but I can kind of eyeball how much I want to put in. I think I want to do, see if that's a bit warm. So I'm going to put a little cool water in. I'll be back. I added some cool filtered water to my kettle because it was a little bit too warm. I'm going to put 100 grams in because I'm also going to bake tomorrow. I'm going to mix some loaves tomorrow because I'm going out of town. I want to bring some with me. So I'll do 100 and 100. Up. Add a good stir. And this is just my daily feeding of Bernadette. You don't need much to get started. This is probably in the end a 1 to 4 to 4 feed. So it's 1 part starter, 4 parts water, flour, 4 parts water. I'm going to put 100 grams. I'm going to zero it out. Put 100 grams of flour in. If I wanted to make a stiff starter, I might put 120 grams of flour in. But I think she's doing really well, so I don't feel like I need to strengthen her. So 1 to 4 to 4 is perfectly fine. And we're looking for thick pancake consistency for my starter when I feed her, which I find a balance of water and flour tends to give me that. And this is a thick pancake consistency. So we'll clean up the sides as much as we can so we can see the rise. We'll cover her up and set her aside. Go back to our, I'm going to put, because we're doing 2 loaves, I'm going to put, I think I'd like to make softer loaves. So instead of 700 grams of water, which is 350 and 350 for the 2 loaves, I'm going to do 670. And then I'm going to do 15 grams of honey, 15 grams of olive oil. That softens it up a little bit. So make sure it's not too hot. So we're going to do 670. Perfect, 670. I'm going to do some honey, about 15 grams of honey. That'll take it to 685. Honey just kind of gives it a little back note of sweetness and helps with softening it up. And then some olive oil. You could use other oils to get it to the 700. There we go. Put that there. Let's give this a good stir using my Danish dough whisk, which I find is the best tool for incorporating and getting this frothy at this stage. It also helps when you're stirring in your flour. It just seems to incorporate it better than I have spurtles. I have other tools. I have a kind of a spurtle, I guess, which are great for doing other things. But for bread, I find the Danish dough whisk to be the most effective. That's 700. Now I need 1,000 grams, a kilogram of flour. I'm just going to do the dump and go method. Zero it out. There we go. And then 20 grams, because there are two. So I'll just add. There we go. And we'll stir that together. I use a combination of a flexible bench scraper. That one's not that flexible, actually. This one's flexible. Stir in the salt first. Now there are those who do something called autolyse, where they do the flour and water first and let it sit and let it sort of come together over about a 30 or 40 minute period. I don't find the need to do that. One of these days I'll try it and see if it makes a difference for my bread. But I'm kind of happy with how my bread comes out the way it is. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it is kind of how I feel. I'm going to get as much off here as we can. Then I'll go back in with a paper towel before I put it in the sink. Nothing down the sink is kind of the rule. Unless you really love your plumber and want to have him over a lot and pay him lots of money. You don't want it in there. And we have septic, so all right, so we'll scrape down the sides and we're going to just get it so all the flour is incorporated. And I find this is a very helpful tool for that. I'm going to use my hands as well. But for this stage, I still have a good deal of flour. Scrape off the bottom. This is good for when you go to clean up also. It'll be easier to clean up. So I'm getting all the obvious flour in there. And then the more you work it, get my hand wet because it sticks to you less if it's wet, but eventually it'll just be all over my hand anyway. The more you work it at this stage, the quicker it'll start creating gluten bonds, and that's what gives your bread the structure. It allows it to stand up and get the oven spring. So you want to kind of do a little work with it. You could do some slap and folds at this point. I'll show you what those look like. I'll put this over here. Slap and folds are for when it's much more shaggy and it's this motion. And this is helping to create the gluten for it. It's bringing it together. It takes a little bit. You can see it's coming together, becoming a little bit less shaggy. So that's some stretch and fold or slap and folds that you can do. Just kind of gives it a little edge to the step where it's creating the gluten strands. That's nice and together. Use my bench scraper to get it off my hands. It's a messy prospect, bread making, so you can't be afraid of getting messy. You want to be able to get in there and feel that all the pockets are cleared out, all the dry flour is gone. So we're going to let this sit for about 40 minutes. Then we're going to come back and do the first stretch and fold. It's as easy as that. It's flour, water, and salt. And of course, starter is just flour and water. So that's sourdough bread making. It's all about keeping your starter healthy, and Bernadette is certainly healthy, and getting the basics mixed. So we'll see you in 40 minutes or so. I'm going to cover it up so it doesn't dry out. set it aside, clean up a little bit, and I'll see you in about 40 minutes. I'm back it's about 2 minutes later. I always forget to temp my dough. I even put my gauge out, my thermometer out to remind myself. We temp the dough because we want to know, right, this is over 80 degrees. So it means it's going to take about 6.5 hours from now of bulk fermentation and manipulating. So it is 8:45, 2:45 is 6 hours. So about 3:15, we'll be able to shape this and get it into the fridge. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Right, we are back for our first stretch and fold. Having done slap and folds, I'm thinking we might only need 2 sets of stretch and folds, but we will see. We have a shaggy dough that will soon be less shaggy. So you're going to Hi there, we are back, ready to, oh, it's looking good. To do some coil and folds, a little less shaggy, as they say. Coil and folds, we put our hands in the middle and we pull up. We're stretching it that way. Self. We are good to go for bulk. Let me turn the light on. Bulk fermentation. You can see that it's got some bubbles. So we're starting to really need to rest a little bit. Put it in the center. Done with my scraper. We're going to cover it up, and it is about 10:15. Started at, I forget, but I think it was 3:15 was when we were going to finish. Okay, now we are ready to take out our dough. I had to bulk ferment for an extra probably 2.5 hours because it's winter and can take longer to bulk ferment. Because of that, I have decided to it's so one of the ways you know it's done is jiggle. It's kind of coming away from the sides a bit, and there are little bubbles across the top, and you can kind of see them on the side. I'm going to make some small loaves. I decided I'm going to make a garlic and herb one using just dry herbs. We'll see how that goes. I have a chipotle Gouda that I chopped up for another one, and then a plain one. And then I'm going to make a focaccia for tonight. So I'm pushing it a little bit with this bel giosso. My friend Vicky will be disappointed. Fresh mozzarella, marinated in oil, chili peppers, and garlic, which I've gotten from Publix. It's little like mozzarella balls, I guess. There you can see it. And so I'm just shaking up the oil. The audio cut out on this section. I'm not sure why, but shaking up the oil to get the seasonings dispersed, and then we pour a good amount on the bottom of the pan. You're actually frying the bread in focaccia. You want that nice brown, crispy crust. So the oil is what helps do that. You can see that it's a good amount of oil. You're going to end up putting the dough into the pan and then flipping it over. So some of this oil will end up being on the top. You generally use just plain olive oil or avocado oil. I think has a higher smoke point, which might be helpful. But I love the seasoning on this. It's got a nice kick and it makes such a nice fried bread. I highly recommend this kind of cheese, the Bella Giosa cheese. I'm going to cut my dough in half. We're going to use half for the focaccia and half that we're going to then cut in thirds for the small loaves, the mini loaves. So just kind of demonstrating how I'm doing that. And we'll go from there. All right, so just spreading out the dough on the pan. I'm going to end up flipping the dough over after I've gotten it sort of flattened out as much as I can. And then we're going to let it rest because we want it to fill up the pan. You could let it rest for a while to get another little rise on it. But I'm really just letting it rest so that I can spread it out into the corners. But you could bake it without it being spread out into the corners also. We haven't dimpled it yet. That'll happen in a few minutes. Now I'm cutting up the parchment paper for the 3 small pans. No reason to use, 3 big pieces when I can cut one into 3 smaller pieces. It's a little more manageable in the pan. And remember, we're going to end up putting the dough in and then covering it with another the same pan to cover it up and create the steam locker for it. So I'm going to cut into thirds. Then I'm going to do my inclusions, and the sound will come back for that. So there you go. The Gouda, but most of it here I'm going to save a little bit for that last layer. Some in a little bit, 1/3. Put a couple more here. 1/3. 1/3. No. And then we roll it up. So we're not gonna really, you want to be careful about getting that tight outside that we always try to do. I'm gonna put this in like that. I'll take another one. Let's do the garlic and herb. We don't want to rip, we want to stretch but not rip. Make a rectangle. Add this spicy garlic. Use a little bit of, not too much. I have another one I'm going to use as well. It doesn't come out very well, but all right, got a little drip. Then I have this garlic butter from Heath Riles Barbecue and Grilling that I love the taste of. So I've used it on a loaf before, and it was really good. Now, if you're going to use actual garlic, roast it first. Raw garlic, when you put it in a loaf, turns it to mush. If there's something about the chemistry that turns it mushy. This one I can do a little bit more work with because it doesn't have the lumps of the cheese. Kind of want to tuck these ends under as much as you can, get that tight top. Here. Lock it in. These will rise a little bit in the refrigerator tonight. And tomorrow we will cook them off. We're going to cook the focaccia tonight though. It's resting right now. I think this one we're going to do just regular old loaf. Well, that's not the best shape, but oh well. Everything but the bagel is another seasoning that's really good on the top of a loaf, but we'll do a plain mini loaf and see how this comes out. cover these. We'll put them in the fridge. They'll grow a little bit more. And tomorrow we will take them out, score them, pop them in the oven. I have 3 more small pans that I'll cover them with to keep the steam in, to help lock it in. Then we uncover them for the last couple of minutes. So focaccia, the amazing thing about focaccia is it's just fried bread. So that's why we have the oil in it. So we want to dimple it as much as we can. You could let this sit for an hour or two. People do. It would rise a little bit more, but we don't really have time for that. So you'll see what happens. Now these are pretty big. I think I'm going to cut them in half. That's what I did last time and it worked out well. I'm putting them, just kind of spacing them out. And we'll push them in, and I'll show you how beautiful this is. It's actually very Christmassy because it's got the red and green spices, which we're going to add some to it as well. I'm going to leave some of this without cheese because my sister can't eat cheese. So I like to always leave a little part of it so she can eat it. Let me get some of these seasonings. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. Okay. Oh my god. Oh, one left on the board. So sad. Oh, that's so yummy. Oh my gosh. Nothing fancy. Just focaccia dough. There's a lots of mozzarella that I push in a little more and a little plain part. It just has the seasoning. And I will show you how these come out. This one I'll show you tonight. It's the dog. Someone's coming. And